Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Mark, the 13th chapter. And as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here. So showing him basically the glory of the temple. Because, it was a very, very glorious and beautiful temple. And Yahushua answering said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Why? Because quite literally, that's what would happen, right? And in the future, somewhat years after Yahushua's departure, going back to the spirit world, eventually that temple itself was destroyed and the walls of Jerusalem were destroyed because of the Romans when they came there and made war against the Jews. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be? So you're saying all this, but when are these things going to happen? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Yahushua answering them began to say, Take heed lest any man deceive you. And the signs that he gave them are prevalent even until now. Because even till this day, we're watching those signs and we're seeing these are indications that we are that generation he was speaking to. And it is our generation, this generation, that's not going to pass till all be fulfilled. Meaning the time that we're living in is going to be the time of the fulfillment of all these prophecies or of these signs and the return of our Lord. So as he says, take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. See, you're gonna have people feigning themselves to be divinely inspired, to be the anointed. Some that came shortly after Yahushua, and some that came a great distance after Yahushua's time, even up into our time. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. And are we not hearing and seeing of those now? Matter of fact, they're saying that the U.S. and Israel are on the brink of attacking Iran. And Iran is saying, look, there ain't going to be no ceasefire this time. Our hand is on the trigger. Don't play. These are wars and rumors of wars on top of all the other wars going on in the world. But the Lord said, when we hear these things, don't be troubled. Don't be afraid. For such things must needs be. They have to come to pass. But the end shall not be yet. So it's close, but it's not yet. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So that's going to be divisions. You can have different nations going against others, both on the geopolitical scale, right? And also internally, right? Different nationalities of people clashing against another, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. See, and we're seeing these things. And the Lord said, these are an indicator to you that that the sorrows, the time of great sorrows, are just beginning. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And that's the case, right? Why? Because of the preaching of the gospel of Yahushua. And you had the apostles that suffered that back then, right? You've had even apostles suffer that in this time, but we'll go through that again, right, on a different scale now, because we're in a different time period. But back then, when you read in the book of Acts, you read concerning what happened to the disciples who became apostles, what happened to the apostle Paul. All of these things were for what? The preaching of Yahushua and for testimony against them. And the gospel must first be published among all nations. And that's happening now, right? Because back then they spread it as far as they could. But now by way of the internet, this gospel is going throughout all the four corners of the earth. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak. So don't, as it says, neither do ye premeditate. Don't worry about what you're going to say, what answer you're going to give them. But whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Spirit. Meaning that the Lord is going to put a spirit on you on what to say. The Lord's going to put a spirit on you on what to say, okay? Because you don't have to worry about, you don't have to premeditate what you're going to say. He'll put the thoughts in your mind on what to say, so don't worry about it. As it says, for it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Spirit. So you're going to say what the Lord wants you to say. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, the father the son, and children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. For what? For Yahweh Shai's sake. Meaning you're going to have loved ones betraying you, okay? Brothers, fathers, children, for the sake of Yahweh Shai. That's through that division. Some that believe on the Lord and some that don't. And those that believe on the Lord will be persecuted. And those that don't believe will turn on them. But the Lord forewarned us of all these things. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. Why? Because it's a wicked world, and the Lord is righteous. And if they hated him, they're going to hate us. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So you endure the persecution, you endure the adversity, you endure the temptation. You stay faithful unto the Lord unto the end, and you'll be delivered. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, that was referring to the Roman armies surrounding the holy place, right? Jerusalem. So the Lord said, when you see that, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains, because there was going to be a great damaging or destruction or desolation being made there. So immediately when you see that, flee. And let him that is on the housetop not go down. So when you see the Roman armies coming, run, flee. Don't come back to take anything. Go, lest you get caught in it. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein, to take anything out of his house. If you're on the housetop, the rooftop, jump down, get down the stairs, and run. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. Forget it. Just go. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Because having a child is a dependency, a liability in this time. Right, in the time that the Lord is speaking about. Because now not only do you have to fend for yourself, but also for your children. How are you going to even, let's say you're under siege, which is what happened to them. How are you going to have enough to eat, let alone feed your child? It's cold, right? As it says, pray that your flight be not in the winter. Because then it's much more difficult to even survive, period. Let alone be on the run or be persecuted or be under siege or be at war. In fact, in the ancient world, and mainly in the ancient world, people would postpone wars, right? They often wouldn't go to war in the wintertime. They would wait till the spring, right? Or some time after that, because of the harsh conditions. That wasn't always the case, but it was oftentimes, or a good amount of times. For in those days, and in verse 19, this is talking about in these days, the time of Jacob's trouble, the time of the great affliction. For in those days shall be affliction, and we know that because of how it's worded, right? It says, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which God created until this time, neither shall be. So it's like a period in history that nothing that has happened before it, nor anything that would happen after it can compare to the magnitude of how bad it's going to be. All right. And so we know that the things that happened during the time of Jacob's trouble, during the time of 66 to 73 AD, they were bad, but that's not the worst thing that has happened in the world. And it's not going to triumph what's going to happen now. And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. So that's how bad it's going to be. That the Lord will have to shorten those days to have the prophecies be fulfilled so that he can deliver his elect, or else there will be nobody left to come and deliver. But for the elect's sake, that he may deliver them, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or lo, here he is there, believe him not. So if anybody tries to tell you, oh, the Son of Man is here, he's over there, or oh, he just made his appearance, he's over here, don't believe them. That's why the Lord has given us these signs, because these signs will let you know. For false anointed and false prophets shall rise and shall shew signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. So they going, and today you got our artificial intelligence and all different means of signs, right, and deceptive practices to deceive, right? And that Lord is saying, if it was possible, if it was possible, they would be able to deceive the very elect, but they can't, because the Lord has put a special spirit on his elect not to fall for it. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. But in those days, after that tribulation, right? So after that immediate tribulation, with the chaos and the destruction and the time of Jacob's trouble, immediately after that, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, which the sun and the moon, now you're going to have it in the literal sense, right? Due to like the smoke from the explosions and the missiles that are flying through the sky and blocking out the sun, darkening it. But also the sun and the moon are a representation of understanding and wisdom. And due to how tumultuous and chaotic and the confused state that people are going to be in is likened onto the sun being darkened, all right, and the moon not giving her light, because people are not going to have answers or solutions on how to fix it. We're talking about a time like never before. Chaos on another level. They call it MAD, mutually assured destruction. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken, right? And likewise, you have stars that represent those that are, high up in this society, right? So-called celebrities, so-called people in high positions, falling, right, from that lofty position that they're in and losing that status, that all of that. But also the stars being symbolic of the missiles, right, actually falling, right, likened onto that falling stars from the sky. And they're also likened onto figs falling from a fig tree, and likened onto many different examples, all right, or analogies. It says, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken, right? Likewise, the rulers of this, because when you go into that word, was it shaken, or let's take a look here, powers. Right here you can see 4, right? The power and influence which belong to rich and wealthy, which are the rulers of this world now. All right, at the time when these prophecies would come to pass, which is who? Esau, Edom. And let's go into that word heaven. So here you have, as it says here, the universe, the world, the skies, the starry heaven. But there is, I think it might be in the book of Matthew, where it describes it as a lofty state. Okay, not like the physical heavens, but the like the state of a dominion, right, or heavenly. Right here. It's actually this word, shaken. Definition 2.1: to cast down from one's secure and happy state. Right, so that's what's going to happen. They're going to be cast down as their kingdom is destroyed from that secure and happy state of heaven or rulership. And then shall they see the Son of Man, because this is going to be a transition of an empire, a transition of a kingdom in its crumbling to the establishment of the new kingdom, which is going to come with the Lord. So then you're going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And those clouds represent chariots or UFOs or UAPs, because those are the vehicles of the angels. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. So those believers, the elect of the Lord, wherever they are, will be gathered. They will be delivered. They will be beamed up from wherever they are in the earth and gathered together to be delivered. But mainly you're going to have the bulk of that here in America. Why? Because here's where you're going to have, and other parts of the world, but mainly here's where you're going to have a lot of those, that fire and that destruction hitting. So the elect that are here in America, so definitely have to get beamed up if they're going to survive. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. And that's during spring, right? When the trees start to grow, the leaves start to grow, and it's green and all of that. And when you see that, you know it's spring, and so you know that summer is near, because that's the next season. So ye in like manner, when ye see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the doors. So let this be a sign for you. When you see these signs come to pass, know that the return of the Son of Man and everything he has said is near. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. He was referring not to the time period they were in, but to that the spirits of that time. That's the generation which would be back again in these last days, and at the point of the fulfillment of these signs or these prophecies. So as we are in this time now, we are that generation. Okay, and this time is not going to pass, and we're not going to go into a new age, and these signs or these prophecies are just stalling. No, the ones as they have begun to come to pass, and we're seeing them, they're all going to come to pass in this time, leading up to the return of Yahushua. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass. Right, which is to emphasize the faithfulness of the word of the Lord, that it's going to stand regardless of what. And all the things he has said are going to happen as he has said them. But of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. See, so nobody knows the exact day. Not even the Yahushua himself knows the exact day when he's going to come. That's why he gave us signs, all right, that'll narrow it down. Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. So since you don't know the exact time, you have to constantly be on your watch. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house, and gave authority to his servants, and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. So, and likewise, this is like the Lord when he left, right? He gave us all a role, a job to do, okay? And our job is to watch. The porter is the gatekeeper. Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh. So you got to be ready. So when he comes, you can open the door to him. At even, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping, but you were supposed to be watching. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch. So it's very important. Watch, stay on your watch. Watch these signs, watch these prophecies, because the Lord is on his way. And that brings us to the end of the book of Mark, the 13th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.